Dear friends, citizens of the 9th District, thank you for granting me a few minutes of your time and attention. My name is Josh McCall, and tonight I'm asking for your help in unseating Doug Collins from his perch. Most of you don't know who I am. That's because I'm a nobody. I'm just a citizen, one of the millions of faceless, nameless people you pass on the road every day as we drive to work. If it seems like I'm coming out of nowhere to do the unthinkable, that's because I do come from the middle of nowhere. My hometown is between Toccoa and Livonia, Georgia, in a little place called Martin. We have a caution light. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'd like to take a moment to introduce my mother, who came from Franklin County to come see me tonight. If everybody could give her a warm Democrat welcome. I call her mother in public, but I usually refer to her as Mama. Although I'm a nobody to Washington, D.C., I'm not alone. When it comes to our government, you are a nobody unless you have billions of dollars to bankroll a politician looking for a handout. But just like me, you have a dream, because even a nobody can dream. My dream is the same dream as my parents'. It is humble, but it is also bold. I dream of the best possible future for my children and yours. Let me tell you about the place where my dreams come from. If your car breaks down in Franklin County, the very first person who passes you on the road will not only stop to give you a hand, he will actually know how to fix your car. In my hometown, we believe in loving our neighbor. We see life from the bottom up because there aren't any billionaires in the middle of nowhere. Life changes very slowly where I come from, and time seems to move slow as well. As a child at Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, I loved hearing from a dear lady, Ms. Louise Allison, about how she used to ride in the back of a wagon to church. I can still remember Miss Denman, my 3rd grade teacher, who would leave the classroom once a day for 5 minutes. We teachers need our bathroom breaks. She had one rule for when she was outside the classroom. We were not allowed to talk. My classmates and I would look at one another, and every now and again, somebody would slip up and say something. Nonetheless, when she got back, you had to tell the truth. If you didn't talk, all you had to do was raise your hand, and you got a teddygram. Those things tasted so good. They tasted even better, I think, because they came from somebody we all loved and admired so much. And did you know, I never once saw anybody lie to Miss Denman, even though they knew they were going to lose that teddygram. Since then, my life has changed a lot. I went off to the University of North Georgia, where I received the education that would forever change my character and my destiny. I also married my best friend and the love of my life, Jennifer McCall. We have 3 children I love to be with. I live a very contented and private life. I love to teach, and I can imagine spending the rest of my life as a teacher and never retiring. I did not do any of this alone. My parents are retired now, but they worked hard their whole lives for their children. My mother worked at the Milliken Humphrey plant on Currahee Mountain for almost 30 years, and my father drove 100 miles each way to get to work at Lockheed down in Marietta. Both of them worked in order to produce something. Just down the street from the old Livonia Elementary School, where I attended kindergarten, my oldest brother worked in a hatchery. In that world, everybody I knew had a job. They may have had their problems, like we all do, but one problem they didn't have was finding good, solid work. The kind of work they could be proud of. The kind of work that gave them a good life. We had time to go to church, work our gardens, and have a decent existence. Today, that world seems like a dream. The farther we move away from those times, the more unreal it all seems. Almost 1 in 5 young people out of high school looking for a decent job cannot find one. Instead of going into the job market to learn how to work with people in an honorable trade, our young people are stuck with low-wage, part-time work. They're living with their parents for longer, waiting for longer to start a family, and in the place of retirement savings, they are acquiring debt that will dog them for years to come. We have dug our young people into a hole that our parents did not have and that their parents did not have before them. Even more urgently, there are people dying in this country every day because they cannot see a doctor or get the medicine they need. Even for those fortunate enough to receive treatment, many of them leave the hospital with all of their life savings wiped out by skyrocketing healthcare costs. What are we doing to fix it? If there's anything we learned from the recent election, it is that there is a crisis in our country. Every few years, we try and resolve this crisis by throwing the bums out, only to find that Washington is getting worse and worse with each cycle. Instead of finding common ground and working for all Americans, our Congress sows division and partisanship in Washington and across the country. We can't talk to one another anymore. And that is one of the most dangerous things about our present situation. While some are worried about a wall in the middle of the desert, there are much more terrifying walls springing up right here in our communities. That wall runs between white people and black people, between immigrants and those who were born here, between gay and straight, Christians and Muslims, and between men and women. The reason we have so many divisions here in America is because there are actually 2 Americas. Those who are running our government live in a distant America, and only part of it resides in Washington. This America goes begging on Wall Street and golfs in Mar-a-Lago on the weekends. If you are a citizen of Mar-a-Lago, America, your wealth is so vast that 3 generations of your descendants could never spend it, even if they tried. If you are a citizen of Mar-a-Lago, America, you don't have to worry about showing up for work. If you are a citizen of Mar-a-Lago, America, you don't have to worry if you're sick, because millions of working people are funding your health care for you. Now, if you get tickets to our national Babylon, you don't have to keep the wolves at bay, because the wolves need you to exist. In the American Babylon, you never have to worry about seeing the very best doctor or getting the right medicine, because there are armies of working people paying for your every visit. I don't know what it's like to live in Babylon, but I do know what it's like to live in the middle of nowhere, because that's where I come from. Right now, more than ever, to Washington elites like Doug Collins, you and I are nobody, and we live in the middle of nowhere. If you or I die without a doctor, we die quietly and in the millions. CNN and Fox News do not report the death of people who couldn't afford treatment, though they should. The sounds from the forgotten America do not make it to Mar-a-Lago. That is why Mr. Collins could support the AHCA, which had a hit list of 24 million people who would lose their insurance. The other America is here tonight, and we are more powerful than we have ever been. We know how to work hard, and we know how to work together. We are here tonight to tear down these walls and build up our country, to work for a bigger dream. We are here in this room because we realize that we become what we imagine ourselves to be. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We are not satisfied with empty slogans of hope and change when it is funded by Goldman Sachs, and we are certainly not content with American carnage. We are here tonight to reaffirm our commitment as progressives to the future. Let Republican politicians and consultant Democrats squabble over the past and crunch their data. In the meantime, we, the new Democrats, pledge ourselves to build a better future for every American, conservative and liberal. The future is ours to grasp, and the only thing standing between us and the promise of tomorrow is what stands between any person and any promise: lack of faith. The first step to restoring America's freedoms is to find common ground, because it is there that we can trust one another. Here on that common ground is the promise of life. No matter the cost, we must realize what was written in the Declaration of Independence so long ago. We must say yes to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in that order. Without life, liberty and happiness cannot exist. From birth to death, every American must have guaranteed access to life-saving health care without a price tag. Because our lives are worth more than money. Our lives are worth more than money. You see, there is only one pro-life position in America today. We have had enough of people dying because they're poor and going broke because they're dying. We must institute a national American health service with centers all across the nation that will provide health care to every citizen. That includes treatment centers for drug addiction and mental illness as well as physical illness. As a Christian, I follow a Savior who was famous for healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and teaching the multitudes. I will never be ashamed that I look at politics through the lens of Jesus. He did not see life from the top down, but from the bottom up. He looked at life through the eyes of the poor, the weak, the sick, the hungry, and the stranger. I can never live up to the goodness of Jesus, as hard as I try to imitate him. I may not be able to perform miracles of healing, but there's no reason why I can't work as hard as I can to get every person in this country the medicine they need for themselves to get back to work and their families. No American should worry about erasing every drop of their hard-earned wealth if they're in a car accident or if they have a heart attack. Every year, conservatives want to repeal Obamacare, and progressives want an American health care service for everybody. Surely we can work together and make them both happen. Because if conservative is to have any meaning at all, then every conservative in this country should be putting all their efforts into conserving life and health and peace of mind. We also need to reform our education system. Let's work together to eliminate federally mandated standardized testing. These tests do not tell us anything teachers don't know already, and they are ruining our schools. They are dumbing down education for students who wish to go on to a university, and they are a pointless exercise for students who wish to learn a trade and work with their hands. Instead, we should institute a national vocational and technical training program that would work hand in hand with local businesses so that students can be work ready if they choose to work right after high school. And most importantly, we should allow teachers to lead our reform, not Washington bureaucrats. Finally, we need to tell some hard truths about our past. When the last recession hit, America bailed out Wall Street. The biggest financial institutions have seen record growth, while working people have seen their wages stagnate. It is time now for America to come together and put people back to work. We could do this by rebuilding our crumbling nation. Even our water is not safe to drink anymore. We have an enormous investment opportunity within our grasp. For every dollar we spend on roads, schools, hospitals, and green energy, our economy will see a return of $2 or $3. Please let me leave you with one last thought tonight. The true leader is not one who rules, but one who serves. We are Americans. We do not need a king